Greetings, I'm Sami Laakso from Snowdale Design and I welcome you to our AwSHUX coverage for Lands of Galzyr. So, welcome everyone. This stream will be covering Lands of Galzyr, and I'm going to be teaching the game and then playing it together with you, the viewer. All viewers will get give input on what we should do in this adventure game set in an open world with a save mechanism where each game will continue from where the last one was left off. So without further ado, let's head to the table and I will start explaining you what little rules we need to know before starting. It's not going to be much and we're going to be up and running quite fast. Here I have the game mostly already set up. The game has 4 different adventures, so here we can see which way I should show them, like this. We have 4 different adventures: Moor, the Frilled Lizard, Bumir, the Marble Polecat, Keridai, the Northern Banded Newt, and the one on the top left, Ausala, the River Kingfisher. So the game supports 1 to 4 players, and we're going to play a solo game today on the stream, and we're going to make decisions together on what we want to do during the game. Welcome to the stream, Brian. Nice to have you here. So here we have the adventure meeples for all the different characters. I'll return the ones that we are not going to use in this one. And we have here the game board. The game board, as well as these 12 cards on it, form the map, and they are both double-sided. So we have summer side on the other side and winter on this current one that we are looking at. Each game is thematically 1 month, and for that we have here what we call global status cards, and one of these always shows which month we are playing. So currently we are playing the month December, and here we can see that we are asked to use the winter side of both the game board and the location cards. Welcome to the stream, Vicky. Like that. And the next game would be January and then February, and after enough games we would move to summer side and use the different side of the game board and the location cards, as the game is always saved between sessions, between each game, and for that there's a card tray with these dividers where you will save the status of both the game world and all the adventures. We have also this author tray full of cards. This is referred as the library, and it's divided with these dividers into sections, like here's cards from 50 to 99 and so forth, so it's easy to find the card you're looking for. I'll keep it here off screen most of the time, as it's not necessary to show it all the time. And there's not much that we have to do in order to begin. I can explain rules as we go, but some fast small things are our own adventure and our so-called save slot. So I'm going to take all the cards that are stored in Ausala's save slot, and when we play with an adventure that hasn't been played yet before, they have just 2 cards in their save slot. They have one yellow one, which is called adventure status, and one purple, which is a quest card. And these, when you have played with your adventure before, you will have plenty more cards in your save slot, and even if someone would have played before with an adventure and you start a fresh one, you have these 2 ones and the other one has more than more. And the game is still balanced because one of this quest card here is the first beginning quest for that adventure, and that will like put you up to speed, so to speak, so you can compete or play together cooperatively with other players, even if your adventure is a fresh new one. So let's take a look. So this is the yellow one, is our own special ability. So AwSHUX one is Soar in the Sky, and it will give us +4 movement once per game, so we can basically fly around the map really fast when we wish to do so. And the other one is this purple one, so this is a quest, and this is our starting quest named A Friend in Need, Part 1. With the help of a friend, you've come to Galzyr for a fresh start. It is time to leave your old life behind and experience the adventures you've always yearned for. And it asks to place our figure on this card during setup, and we cannot abandon it. So usually you would be able to pick where you want to start your game, like you would start from Mera to Rienstum, wherever. But on your very first turn, you have to, when you're playing with a new character, you have to put your adventure figure on your beginning quest. And then some of the final things we have to do is initialize the storybook. So to play Lands of Galzyr, you need some device with an online browser. So you can use any device you really want to, but here I have it set up on an iPad, and with some devices you can also install the website for offline use. So for example, here I have it set up on my iPad such that I can use it even without internet connection. And for that I have a separate view like this we can use, and here you can see that we have just opened the digital storybook, and we will just simply start a new game. Then we will tell the storybook which month it is, because even the same exact story will have different stuff happening in there depending on which month you're playing. So that's why we're telling that right now we are playing December, as the global status card told us earlier. And now the Book of Adventures randomized a starting day for us. So in this case it's Thursday. So I'm going to mark that with this day token on the calendar over here, like so. And then I'll just mark our prestige with our prestige marker. So that's the goal of the game, is to gather as much prestige as you can. And well, to be honest, the goal of the game is to have fun and explore the Land of Galzyr, but we still have a win condition if you're playing competitively, etc. So we do have some sort of victory points, which is fame and called prestige in our game. So let's mark that like so. And the final thing we would have to do is to choose if we play competitively or cooperatively. And that's the case if you're playing with 2 or more players. But because we are playing a solo game, we are always using the card on the left, which says Harmony at the top. So we are going to play a certain number of rounds until the game ends. And I'm going to return this other one back to the game box, as that's used when you choose to play competitively. And before each game, you can always pick which one you want to play. So you're not locked in to either of those in long run. So I'll return that to the box. And then as for this, whenever we have these timed effects, like this one here, marked with this clock circle, we are going to take a pair of timer tokens and cover this one, paste and put it on another one here on the calendar, as many days forward as the number shows on the clock. But in this case, it's an X, and you can see at the bottom the X is dependent on how many players we have. So currently we are playing a solo game, so it's 8. So I'll put this here, for example, and take 2 of these timer tokens. I can take any 2 as long as they are the same. Doesn't really matter which ones I pick. So for example, I choose these 2 panda ones, and one was 8 days into the future, or like so, and I'll use the other one to cover up the number here on the global status card. And that basically shows us how many days, so how many rounds we are going to play. We are going to play 8 rounds, and the game will be over at that point. If we were to play competitively, we would play until someone gets enough prestige to end the game, and that is marked here on the game board. So with 2 players it's 8, 3 it's 7, and with 4 players it's 6 prestige. But now we can start playing, and on each round all players will get a single turn, and on your turn you have 2 phases. In the first travel phase you can move on the game board, but because we are not on the game board yet, I'll explain that on the next round. And after moving, you get to begin a single story scene. We can begin story scenes from multiple different sources, but in this case we have our beginning quest over here, and at the bottom we have a story scene number 86 named Start Your Adventure, and if it has this lightning bolt icon like this one has over here, we are forced to take that story scene. So on our first turn we are simply going to take this story scene number 86. And to do that, we simply can either scroll the list of scenes here on the left, or we can use the search box here to go to the scene immediately. So just double checking, it was 86. And well, here's our very first story of the game. And we have a guest here, my cat. Standing at the top of the plank leading ashore, you view the busy docks below. Folks carrying cargo, negotiating passage, or just loitering, shouting, laughing, living their lives. You want to step down and join them, but this short, symbolic step from the ship means so much more. It means starting your life anew, leaving your troubled past behind. The past your new friend so kindly pulled you from. She should be waiting for you by the tavern, supposedly the worst Rienstum has to offer. Will you move already? The captain shouts behind you. Or do you wanna go back or something? We have a single option. We can, or we must step ashore and go meet our friend. Here's one friend who wants some attention, it seems. Walking through the seaside street, your mind wanders back to your benefactor. You met in awkward circumstances, yourself trying to steal from her. You could have ended up in jail again, or worse, but instead she listened, showed compassion, and helped you out of some serious trouble. You don't fully understand how she did it, or why, and it took you a while to be able to trust her. You spot the tavern, brewing toad, and your friend awaiting you. She's wearing a hood, but you can't mistake that peak. Her eyes light up as she finally sees you, and she greets you warmly. Here, I brought you something. Welcome to Galzyr, Osala. So then we have some rules text. First one asks us to move our figure to Rienstum. So let's first fix the mess that my cat made here. So we are asked to move our figure to Rienstum, which is over here. All of these locations which have the names, no matter if they're compromised with multiple cards like Rienstum here, they are still counted as a single space, so it doesn't really matter where I put our figure, but just for thematic purposes, I'll put ourselves to the docks area. Then we are asked to take a random 150 from the library. And again, this is the library of cards with dividers showing where the cards are. So I'm going to take a single 150 randomly from the library. And we also get a card 281. So I'll search for that as well. So let's see what we got. Our first random 150 is the gift from our friend. So we got some newspapers. Staying up to date with today's fast world can be exciting for some, exhausting for others. And now if we resolve some skill checks which could ask us to recall or convince, we would get 2 successes. I'll explain these a little bit more when we get to those. And after 5 days, we have to discard the newspapers. They're getting so old that the information isn't up to date anymore. So below our adventure board, we have spots for 3 items. So I'll put this one in our first slot like so. I'll take 2 timer tokens, put one 5 days into the future. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And use the other one to cover the number on newspapers like that. And then the other card we got is 281. And that's Nara, our friend. Roamer and flight tags under the illustration. The storybook sometimes asks if we have some of those, and then they can give us various benefits. Nara has traveled all over Galzyr and beyond for a living, taking on various tasks ranging from trivial to hopeless. And in survival skill checks, we get a single success, and if we sneak or intimidate, we can reroll up to 2 dice. We'll see those in action quite soon. And after 5 days, Nara is getting bored with us and will leave our side. And all cards have their type here on the top left. So Nara has this green one also on the back. So it's a companion card, and we can have as many companions as we can just find and keep by our side. So we're starting to run a little bit out of the room. So I'll move the the dice tray, and let's put that here. So now we have room for 3 items under our adventure board. And we should take another pair of timer tokens like so, and it's the same 5 days for Nara as well. And now we have resolved all the rules and all the effects that we were asked, and we can continue forward. You have your wits, but to make it here, you'll need more than that, Nara blabbers on as the 2 of you tour the city's market. Wouldn't hurt to try to make a good impression or to pick up a book every once in a while. You do know how to read, right? But most importantly, be careful out there. You notice her grimace briefly at the last bit, but before you can ask her about it, she excuses herself to visit one of the stalls nearby, which seems to offer camping equipment. Left alone for a moment, you look around the busy market, curious about this foreign city you've ended up in. What are these folks like? Now we have 2 options that we can pick. Both have a skill check involved, which is marked by the colorful bubble at the right side of the option name. So we can either observe the folks at the market, which is a medium skill check. It's a perception, marked by the icon. Or we can recall what we know about Rienstum, which is an easy knowledge skill check, which is the green one with the book icon. Let's move these a little bit to the side, like so, and I'll show you the skills. So here on our adventure board, we obviously have the name of the character at the middle. We have some permanent tags like streetwise and flight in this case. We have gold that can be rotated here at the back to show how much we have currently. and then on the right side is our skill wheel, and it shows what skills we are good at. So from the top, going clockwise, we have thievery, we have might, survival, knowledge, communication, and finally perception. So Ursula is really good at perception and thievery, and somewhat good in survival as well, the yellow one. And these are the starting skills. All the different adventures have different starting ones, and we will be able to customize them during play in various ways as well. So currently we have two options. We can either observe or recall, and whenever you see options like these on the screen, you can also write in the chat on which one you would like to pick. Even before I have read the options, whenever you see those, because there's a small delay, whenever you see multiple options like this, you can write in the chat to tell which one of those you would like to pick. So observing is a little bit more hard because it's a medium one, and then we also have a recall, which is a little bit easier, but we are not quite as good at it as we are in the perception. Mr. Scrunchuana is asking if Nara would help with perception. So here let's see Nara. And Nara can help us in survival skill checks, which is the yellow one. We can get 1 success in those, and if we ever sneak or intimidate, we can reroll up to 2. So what can help us in this skill check actually is our newspapers, because it gives us 2 successes if we recall or convince. And as you can see here, the second one is recall what we know about Rienstum. So because we got the newspapers, we can actually read some articles about Rienstum and get 2 successes immediately with this one. So I might suggest to do the second option in this case, because we did get newspapers from Nara. So let's pick that, so we get an example on how the skills work, the skill checks. So in them we always first take these 5 black base skill dice, and these have a single success for all the different skills in the game. So it's not quite likely to get a lot of successes with just these, but based on what we have access to with our skill marks on our adventure board, we get access to these better skill dice, which are called advanced skill dice. So in this case, we get access to all the colors marked on our board, but we don't want to use all of them, because let's pick, for example, the yellow one, which is survival over there. So it has 2 double icons for survival, so it's really good at its primary skill, but it also has 2 single ones for both adjacent skills. So because survival is next to knowledge, it has 2 books, and because it's also next to might, the orange one here at the top right, it has 2 single ones for that as well. So this is already twice as good even in knowledge here, but it would be really good in survival, the yellow one. So I'll swap one of those out for that, and we don't get access to the other ones, so let's remove them from the dice tray. So to resolve a skill check, we first roll everything, then we can use some abilities, and we get a single reroll if we want to. So we're looking at books, and well, that's a phenomenal roll. So already got three book icons from there, and then we can get 2 more from the newspapers, and we always have a single reroll if we want to roll everything again. So maybe if we roll just 1 book, we might want to reroll everything to get more if we are greedy, but in this case I highly recommend us not to reroll reroll everything, because it's really unlikely to get more than 3 with this with our dice. And once we're happy with our result, we are going to reveal the outcomes, and we're going to pick the one that matches our roll or our skill check result. And in this case, we actually got 5 successes, so we're going to get the best possible outcome here. Putting together every bit of information you've ever heard, you managed to create a quite nice picture of Rienstung and its citizens. It's the largest city in Galzyr and has a reputation for the many opportunities as well as vices that its busy streets offer. Likewise, Rienians are known for their openness, spontaneousness and big dreams of riches and fame. But above all, they're a proud folk who have fought for their independence several times, in fact. Their freedom is what they value the most. Even the huge statue in the middle of the very square symbolizes that. Commotion in the crowd turns your attention away from the statue. You notice a group of tough-looking vultures pushing through the masses, and they're coming right at you. That doesn't sound good. Interrupting her haggling, you point the vultures out to Nara. "It's us," she says. "They're after us. We need to get out of here, Arsala." The vultures start to move faster. They are nearly on you. Alright, we have 3 options. We can either sneak away through the crowd, which is hard thievery. We can convince the folks around to help us, which is an easy communication. Or we can throw gold to create a distraction, which would cost us 4 gold. And let's see if we have... for sneak, Nara would be able to help us a little bit. So here you can see sneak, we would be able to reroll up to 2 dice. So if we pick the first option, we can reroll up to 2 at any time during the skill check. And now would be a good opportunity to explain the difficulties, because the game has 3 difficulties. We have easy, medium and hard. And the minimum number of successes we would like to get is 1, 2 and 3 respectively. We don't know what's the best possible outcome. It's always higher than the minimum we need, but we do know how many successes we would have to get to avoid failure. So for example, here earlier we had an easy skill check, so you can see that the minimum to avoid failure was 1, and the best possible outcome was at 3 in this case. We are not ever quite sure what's the threshold for the best possible outcome, but we do know how to avoid failure. So here we would have to get at least either 3 thievery to succeed in sneaking, or 1 communication to convince folks to help us. So do you have any wishes on which one we would like to choose? Actually, our choice is probably quite easy, because we do have still our newspapers, which is really it's going to we have to discard it after some days, but it does have some really powerful effects. And my cat is trying to distract me by trying to follow the lights, knock them over. So it has recall and convince. Like it seems like highly perfect item for our first scene. We did get it randomly from quite a large pool, so just to give you an idea, this is the pile of cards, all numbered 150, and we took 1 randomly, and it just happened to be the newspapers. Scrunch was first going for thievery, but after seeing the newspapers agrees that we should go with convince. We could also throw gold there, but maybe we want to save up it because we have the newspapers to get around this other way. We do have 10 gold in our possession right now. So now to convince, we're going to remove those and add the perception dice, because in addition to having 2 double perception icons, it has 2 single ones for the communication, which is like counterclockwise from perception, and 2 thievery ones, which is clockwise to the next at the very top. So these ones have higher probability of getting communication compared to just these base ones. So let's see how much we got. We already have 2 with the newspapers, and that's 1 more. So we're currently at 3. As you saw previously, tier 3 was enough to get the best possible outcome, but we are not quite sure. It's quite often 2 more, but not always. So now we can either be happy with our current roll, or we can reroll to maybe get even higher total. So it's not super easy to get more, but definitely possible. So maybe we are happy with this. There's so many story scenes in the game that even I don't remember all the thresholds for each skill check there. We are currently like over 800 skill checks, and the final game will have well over 1000 skill checks. Mr. Scrum is saying, so with the thievery, could we get the 2 perception and 1 thievery die? Yeah, if we were doing a perception skill check, so this purple one here, we would be able to use both of these and this one. But because we're doing a communication here, we only want to use the one communication dice, knowledge dice, and perception dice. And same if you did a thievery, we would use all of these, all these 3. Nothing prevents us from using even the thievery die in communication skill check, but it's kind of pointless because it doesn't have any successes for this one. It's like too far away in the skill wheel, so we're better off using the base skill dice instead of this. Yep, agreeing that we're happy with 1, so it's just enough to get the best here. With rhetoric skills you didn't know you possess, well, or our newspaper possesses. You paint a picture of a poor orphan coming to a foreign city in hopes of a better life, but whose personal freedom is being threatened. Every nearby market goer stops to listen, many moved to tears by your little speech. But by the end, those tears turn to anger. Get the tar, someone shouts as they close in on the vultures. They brought their own feathers. The vultures scamper as they flee the angry mob. Nicely done, Nara says. They are an upstart group, but they are not to be messed with. You can probably guess why they're after us. You can indeed. Looks like your past isn't quite done just yet, but you would definitely finish this unfinished business and then begin your new life in earnest. And then we have some effects, so we get 2 prestige. Let's mark that here on our game board. We are going to have to return our friend in need card 111, so it's the quest that we just took, back to the library, and we get 62 and 220. Let's find those, and that's end of scene. So 62 is another adventure status, so we can have any number of these. There's no limit on how many we can carry. So this is called determined. No matter what kind of hardships await, you feel like you can take it all with the strength and vigor of 3 spectacled bears. And in any skill check, we may discard this to get a single success. And if we ever get afraid, we are forced to discard this one to return the afraid status to the library. Let's put that there, for example. And here is the card 220. It's a quest card, just like the previous one. This is part 2. Some upstarts try to catch you. You need to find a way to deal with them and any future pursuers. According to Nara, there's a group in Teshun who might be able to help you. She said she will meet you there if you get separated. Now we have another scene box down here, and now if we go to Teshun, we can seek aid and take the scene number 90. And Teshun is over here on the game map. Let's move that a little bit like this. So we have room for our new quest. And now if we would have more players, they would get their own turn. They would be able to travel, take a story scene. And after everyone has done that, we move to the next day on the counter like so. And if there were any timer tokens on the new day, we would resolve them, but there aren't any. So we're going to do the same in the storybook, like that. Because in addition to the same story, having different stuff happening during different months, we also have different stuff happening in different days. So that's why we keep track of the days and months in the storybook. If you prefer, you can also use multiple devices for the Book of Adventures. So even while a single player is reading it out loud, authors can still follow through if they so wish. Or you can just have a single device that you pass along. As long as all the devices have the same month and day setup, the stories will play out the same. Welcome to the stream, X Digital. They are suggesting or giving an idea of flying to Chapar Hot Springs on our very next turn. It's always possible if we want to do that. But before now on our next turn, whenever we are not in a story scene, we can always pick up quests from the notice board. So it's these 3 cards over here, and all of them. So this is the public site. We can read all the public sites whenever we want. And here's an example one. This quest can be picked up at Arhin. And I came to Galzyr for a little vacation. I have everything already well planned and would love me some company, signed by Karimia, the Gila monster. And at the top it says Arhin, and it tells where we can pick the quest up, and we have these quest tokens also helping us to remind where the notice board quests can be picked up. And we have even some extra ones here if more quests would be placed onto the notice board. So now we can, for free, it doesn't take any actions or anything, pick up this quest from the notice board. So Rienstum, this one. My fruitful plan calls for execution. Success in it will lead to fame and glory for both of us. Signed by Olamide the Dodo. And once you pick a quest, you can look at the other side. Fertile for Fame Part 1. There's a renowned gentlefolk club in Sarevar that I visit regularly to meet with my elite friends. The hottest new trend is to show off by owning expensive and exotic fruits. Yaori, my contact in Hesembi, is renting pineapples. Can you get me one before joining me at Sarevar? Signed by Olamide the Dodo Entrepreneur. And now if we go to Hesembi, we can meet Yaori and take the scene 102. So at any point we can have up to 3 quests, and if we have 4 or more, we are forced to abandon until we are at 3. And to abandon a quest, you simply follow the instructions printed here at the bottom next to the sad cat face. So in this case it would simply ask us to place on the notice board, and we would just flip it and place it back over here. And if we have less than 3 quests on the notice board, like right now, we draw a new card from the quest slot. So here we have the save slots for the adventures, we have Vault, We can tell more about that later if we need to. And then we have this what we call a quest slot. So this is all the upcoming quests. So we're going to pick the first one, and without looking at the private side, we are just simply going to place it on the notice board. And this one says that it can be picked from Teshun. So just going to update this like so. And now we can choose what we want to do on our turn. We have 2 steps that we can move on during our travel phase. And as told earlier, these named locations are treated as a single space. So we can, for example, move 1 and 2 if we want to go toward Teshun. We can move 1 and 2 if we want to move toward Arhim, for example, or any direction we really want to. And we could also stay at Rienstum if we wish to do so by moving none at all. And whenever we end our travel to one of these large named locations, we can visit the places printed on the cards. Let's see if I can show all of them. Like this is Rienstum. We could visit the Wishing Well, Docks, Arena, Market, Convention Center, or the Casino. So that's always also an option. And during our travel, we can use our special ability as X Digital already suggested. So this one, when traveling, you may discard to get +4 movement. If you move with non-flight companions, return them to the library. Good thing is that Nara is also a bird capable of flight. So you can see here she has a flight tag. So if we do use our special ability to move a lot, Nara will be able to fly with us. So usually we can move up to 2 spaces, but we can move up to 6 spaces because it's +4 if we want to use our special ability. And if we want to follow X Digital's advice, we could even move all the way to Chabar, which is the place with the hot springs as they suggested. So you can see here it has a ski resort, market, and hot springs down at the bottom. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Either way, we would be able to go all the way there if we so wish. Our current quests can be resolved. Our own quest, the starting, the friend in need, can be done here in Teshun, and the other one, Fertile for Fame, down here in Hesembi. So what would you like us to do? Do you want to fly to Chabar, start moving towards Teshun or Hesembi, or move, for example, to Meratu and pick up some requests there? It has a ranger station. As told earlier, Lands of Galzyr is an open world game where you can basically go wherever you want and do whatever you wish. So the game is like our own little playground. Mrs. Grandjuan is saying if they don't have flight, they'd be left behind. Yeah, if you don't have companions without flight, we would have to return them back to the library. Do we get suggestions where we should go? Or do we just fly to Chabar? So our current quests, our friend in need, the first one that we just did, the part 2 for that would be resolved here in Teshun, and the other one, the renting pineapples ones, is here in Hesembi. We can walk there, but there's also you can see that here's a sea next to Rienstum, and we have a river going to Hesembi, so there might be some way to go there faster as well. Hint, hint. In addition to just flying, if we so wish. So Scrunchion is saying towards Teshun, maybe. And I don't see X Digital asking us again to fly to the Hot Springs. Maybe it's well, the game does have the game has like an the prestige, that is the goal mechanically, but really we are here to have fun. So if we want to visit Jabbar, the Hot Springs, we can. X Digital saying fly to Hot Springs. If you somehow refresh flying abilities there, you can fly to Teshun later. Well, let's do that. I think X Digital might have watched some earlier demo. Just a wild guess. But let's use our sword in the sky. So it asks us to discard to get +4 movement when traveling. So we're going to do that. So it goes to the library, and we can choose. Doesn't really matter which direction we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Basically, we can just fly directly like that. But something to note is that if there was, for example, quests in Yesten, we could move 1, 2, 3, pick up some quests there, and then 4, 5, 6. So we can move, pick up quests during our travel. So also I can sweep in, take some quests, and fly away. But there's we can't quite go to Teshun like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we wouldn't be able to get all the way here. So now we're at Jabbar and we're going to visit the Hot Springs, which is number 6. So it's all the way up here. The Inn of Wet Feathers is the main attraction of Jabbar, city of hot springs. Relaxing pipe music can be heard even before you enter, and upon going through the doors you are welcomed by the deep bow of an emperor penguin, the innkeeper Ranut. He squawks enthusiastically about how busy it is this time of year and how proud he is of his little resort. My staff can barely keep up with all the peak season work. He looks at you for a brief moment. You don't happen to need a job, do you? We have 3 options. We can spend our day at the inn, which would cost 2 gold. We can clean the baths, which is a medium survival skill check, which is the yellow one over here. Or we can help at the inn, which doesn't have a skill check at all. So, do we have preferences on which of the three options we should pick? As said earlier, you can success any of the options immediately as you see them on the screen, even before I read down there, because there's a slight delay between the stream, even with the smallest delay set on YouTube. X Digital is saying spend, so let's spend. You're going to go down to 8 gold and pick that one. You leave your possessions in the cozy room assigned to you and proceed outside to the hot spring area. You're asked if the library has a card 294 available, and I'm just going to check. I'm not going to take it because the storybook doesn't ask me to take it. Just look if it's available, and it is. Various animal folk simmer in the warm water. Joining them, you close your eyes in the pool, enjoying the feeling of your energy slowly returning to you. Just as you're about to become fully relaxed, someone taps your shoulder. You turn to find a slender creature with a terrifying face and huge eyes staring at you. With a voice like gravel rubbing together, it speaks. Riches unimaginable. and never-ending pleasures. That and more can all be yours with just a snap of the fingers. If you follow my advice, that is. The shadowy figure introduces himself as Jafim, merely a humble servant looking for a new master. Rienstum, your fortune awaits in Rienstum. Now we get to return all weary statuses to the library, but our determined is only resolute and upbeat, so obviously we are not going to return that. And we get card 0 from the library, which is actually our own special ability, which we just used. So we get that back, like so. And we also get 294, which we just first earlier checked if it's available, and that's the end of scene. And 294 is Chapim. It's another companion, and while his company makes you uneasy, Chafim's wisdom can't be ignored. And in knowledge skill checks we get a single success, and if we go to Rienstum we can follow Chafim's advice, and he's going to stick with us for 5 days. So let's again make room for a new friend. So let's mark that, for example, with that one, and 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then moving to the next day, like so, and same here on the storybook. And now we are then again need to choose where we want to go and what we want to do. If we now choose to fly with our special ability, Chafim would leave our side because he doesn't have a flight tag, so he's not capable of flying with us. Should we start moving towards station to do our quest, or what should we do? I take that I think maybe it's easier if we now agree that we, for example, first move to Teshun, and then depending on what we do there, we, for example, continue to Hesembi for our other quest, or something like that. So it's faster and you don't have to wait for to make the decision on which direction to move. So let's move 1 and 2, and Chafim would leave our side here, and so we can, for example, on our last turn or the second to last turn, we can, for example, then use our sword in the sky again to fly. But while we do have Chafim on our side, why not move a little bit slower with him, so we can benefit from his ability to help us in knowledge skill checks. And after traveling, we always start a single story scene. And as for those, we have already seen that we can take story scenes from our quest cards. Like here we have the Fertile for Fame story quest card. If we are at Hesembi, we can take this scene. And the friend in need says Teshun. We can also take some scenes from companions, like Chafim if we are at Rienstum. We can visit places printed on the cards. And if we want to or can't take anything else, we can always draw an event card. I have the event deck here to the side. We can always draw an event. And now we are actually forced to draw it because we don't have anything else available for us. So while we are traveling between these larger locations, that's the time when we usually draw events. And when drawn, we look at the conditions and go through them one by one from top to bottom and pick the first one that suits our current condition. Nothing says that we are exhausted, so we are not going to take that one. And then there are different terrain types from settlement to mountains. And we can see our current terrain type here is mountain. So we're going to take the one matching that down here, which is scene 246. I'll put the card to the side for the duration of the scene, because the storybook will also always instruct where to put the event card afterwards. So that's 246. All day the earth has shivered under your feet as you travel over the mountain, and in the distance you hear the odd avalanche. While passing one of the outer edges of the mountain, you pass by a family of cougars who are in tears and panicking. The path before them looks like it had let go not long ago and fell down the mountain's side. Asking them what the problem is, the mother points down at the mountain slope. "My boy, he landed there when the rocks gave way." Below, a terrified cub clutching a plush toy lays on a precarious rock jutting out. If the whole family pitch in, they could pull him up, but they are terrified that their crumbling ledge will give way under them. What will you do? We're asked if we have a chord tag, and as earlier said, different cards have different tags. Like our own adventure board has streetwise, flight, newspapers has literature, Nara has roamer, flight, Chafim has advisor, determined has resolute and upbeat, but none of them have the chord tag, so you have to pick no. And now we have three options. We can lift the cup up, medium, might. We can convince the family to help, which is hard communication, or we can simply leave. And lifting is a little bit easier. We have 2 skill marks next to might, so would help a little bit. Convince. Nara doesn't help with anything available. Chafim doesn't help us, but well, newspapers, they're still helping us, so they would give us 2 successes. And we can also use determined status if we want to. It's a one-time use, giving us a single success in any skill check, but we can use it at any point, so we can first roll, use other items, and then use it as a backup if needed. Brian is saying convince with newspapers, so let's go forward and try that. And convince, we get, these are the dice that we are going to use for communication skill check. So hopefully we would get at least 1 success, because then we would not be forced to use determined if we want to avoid failure. The cougars are quite terrified, so it's not easy to convince them. 1 is going off. So we got a lot of perception, 5 actually, but we got a single communication. Are we happy with the single communication, or should we try to push our luck? As currently we are at 3 with the newspapers, and even if we fail, we can still use the determined if we want to. It's kind of 50-50, not sure. We have quite nice dice, and shouldn't be impossible to get even 2 successes with them, but might just be smart to go with 3. Brian says reveal. Let's go ahead and do that. So this time it was for 4 to get the best one, so just a single more, but we are at 3. It takes a while, but you convince the family that their son is at least worth taking a chance on the crumbling ledge for. Together they lock limbs and form a living chain, and with your help, lower themselves down enough to grab the cub and get back up. As they do so, the ledge under them begins to crumble away, but you pull them all to safety just in the nick of time. The only casualty is the cub's toy, which slips from his grasp and falls down the slope. relief, then boundless joy takes the family by storm. They are cheering and praising you for saving their child. Asking them to stay safe, you leave them to emotionally digest the ordeal. We get 1 prestige, up to 3, and we are asked to return the drawn event to the bottom of the event deck. So this one here. Like so, and that's the end of scene. Moving to Sunday, same here, and probably going to move here closer to Teshun. So next turn we can take our quest over there. So we don't have any quests this location, so we're going to draw another card. I'm pretty sure this is from an earlier playtest session. Yep, so I'm going to play that this card was never there and draw a new one. And from the top, it's asking if we are wounded. We are not. We are not in a settlement, but we are in a grassland space, so 216. So let's see, 216. And 216 is actually not quite ready yet, so I'm going to draw a new one which says 152 on grasslands, as the game is still work in progress in development. So not quite all the scenes, like the final game will have nearly 400 scenes, not quite all of them are ready just yet. Your travels take you down a bending road that turns along a body of water. Ahead of you, a pelican combats with several fishing nets, all tangled together and riddled with branches. Saying hello to her, the pelican quickly looks up and, after recovering her surprise, introduces herself as Rendeka. I did not see you there, she explained in frustration, showing now how her feathers are tangled into the roping of the nets. They must have done logging yesterday, and as now all these branches are in the water and they have ruined my nets. Will you help me get them untangled? I have to catch something to feed my family. Alright, we can either untangle the nets, come up with another way to help, or leave the pelican. And if we untangle each blade, that would give us some successes. Unfortunately, we don't have blades with us. So untangling would be purely with skill dice, but we have quite nice dice. Or if we come up with another way to help, we have worse dice, but Chaffing would help us with a single success, because it's a knowledge skill check, and we can always use our determined status if that is the case. Mr. Sconchuan is saying to untangle the nets, so let's try that. As said, we have better dice, but Chaffing isn't going to help us untangle the nets. Alright, let's move that aside. We are going to use both of those and the thievery skill mark we have. And this also example of it would help to get more items, as we're currently sitting at just one item, and we do have room for 3. So some of the skill checks might seem a little bit hard because we only have one item, but we do have 2 companions which do balance it out quite nicely. Well, that's for once I rolled good in a demo. So that's 3. I think we should be happy with 3. We could use the determine to get the 4th one, but because we don't know the exact threshold. The exact threshold for the best possible outcome, I would say not to spend or use our determined status for that, and Ryan agrees. In this case, it would have get us the 4+, but we're going to go with 2-3. Taking it slow and steady and with a lot of patience, you finally get one of Rendaga's nets separated from all the branches. With your help, the pelican casts the net back into the water. It took forever, but at least with one net I can still try to catch dinner. Thanks for helping. Rendaga pulls out a piece of paper and scrawls something on it, handing it over to you. Some of my friends are in need of help and could offer you something in return. So we got a random 49 and we're asked to return the drawn event to the bottom of the event deck, like so. And because I noticed a typo, I'm going to write that down so I can fix it later. Untangle. Alright, end of scene. Moving to Monday. Same here. Last day with Nara and newspapers. This is the random for 49 we got. Loose Threads, Part 1. A quest card. Smugglers are bleeding contraband in and out of Jabbar. Recently, famous historical Jabbarian tapestries have been stolen. We are looking for aid in the retrieval of these tapestries. We have reports of sightings of suspicious figures by the Great Reen River. Holena, the hog-nosed bat guard captain. And now if we go one space west of Jabbar, we can scout the area. And that would be here, one space west of Jabbar. We have a compass over there, especially if you're sitting not directly below the game board. It can be hard to orient yourself to know which direction is which. But we got a third quest, and we do have room for 3. So let's put that there, for example. And I think we are now going to Teshun and resolve our friend in need part 2 over here. So according to Nara, there's a group in Teshun who might be able to help you out. She said she will meet you there if you get separated. As Grandson is saying, of course it's Jabbar. Yeah, we just flew there and get away from slowly walking away. But now we can take the scene, seek aid, and number 90. Wild Arm's mercenary camp lies deep within the ruined town, and as you approach the guard post, you eye the imposing wall that still stands on this side. Flying over would have been tough with all the gear you're carrying. Well, currently we are actually not carrying that much gear. We do have a pile of newspapers, and thematically these skill marks are also a little bit of gear, but we are only having a single item. They're not your enemies. In fact, you're here to ask their help. Do we have a roamer tag? Nara has the roamer tag, so we're going to click yes in this case. At Nara's behest, you approach the 2 guards and ask to see their leader. They laugh. The boss is busy, one says. What's a squid like you want with him? How about you show us what you can do first, the other interjects, pointing at the wall surrounding the camp. Climb that and we'll take you to him. You glance at Nara, but she simply shrugs, signaling she'll go along with whatever you decide. We can climb over the wall. It's a survival skill check, so Nara would give us a single success. Or we can intimidate the guards, which is a medium communication, and Nara would give us the ability to reroll 2 dice. Chopping doesn't help us with these ones, and neither does newspapers. We can use determined if so needed. Brian asking, do we have bonus to intimidate from something? But yeah, Nara that gives us 2 rerolls. So Nara gives us a single success for the climb or 2 rerolls for the intimidate. And of course our dice. Brian is saying go to intimidate, so why not? Let's try that. And as for the dice, I'm going to remove the thievery die and replace with base skill die. So we would like to get 2, but with 1 we can still use our determined status if we want to avoid failure. And we can reroll up to 2 dice, either after the initial roll or after the full reroll. And it's on the full reroll. It's an optional one. We don't have to do that if we don't want. That's that's nothing. So there's no harm done in just rerolling everything. What did I say about rolling once? Good for once. Well, this is not one of those moments. This is like the normal. So let's use Nara's ability to reroll up to 2 dice, and let's reroll these ones because they have a higher chance of getting getting those communication icons. Brian agreeing to reroll the purple dice, the perception ones. Well, Nara is at least a little bit more intimidating than we are, so we are now at 1. And now if we want to avoid failure, we can use the determined to get 2 successes. Or we can just admit our failure and go with 1. Up to you on what you want us to do. The first comment will decide our fate. Scrunchion is asking what the determined costs. So it costs the card for us. So if we do use this, we simply discard this back to the library, and we aren't determined anymore. So it's a one-time use, and we can keep it with us as long as we want. Brian asking what do we lose tomorrow? I think we should use determined. Yeah, tomorrow by end of this day, Nara would leave our side, and our newspapers will get old. So we are just left with Chafim and maybe determined, depending on if we use this or not. All right, use it. There it goes. Returning it to the library like so. So now we are at 2, and we can reveal the outcomes, and that gives us the middle one. You have no time for the stupid games. You tell them as much in a much more threatening manner. Wait, it was just a little test, one says, backing up. Yeah, the other continues, pointing at the large tent. And you passed. The boss is waiting. You go, Nara says. I'll watch this too. Inside is a lone falcon who introduces himself as Geralt. I heard about Rienstorm, he says, but don't worry. Those thugs have caused trouble for us as well, and we'll take care of them. You ask how he knows about that, but he just smirks. I like to stay informed, Aosala. Now, was there anything else? You insist to take part, which seems to humor him somewhat. The 2 of us are birds of the feather. Very well. We've intercepted some of their equipment, including this coded letter. Show me what you can do. We can either crack the code in the letter, and Chafing would give us a single success, so we would basically succeed in it no matter what, because it's an easy skill check. Or we can search the equipment, which we are way better at with our skill dice, but we don't have anything to help us in searching outside of our dice. Brian saying crack the code because we have guaranteed success. Yeah, that's a safe bet. I see you're getting the hang of it, which is not trusting my rolling abilities. So let's crack the code into letter. So replacing those with these ones. So as much as we can get would be a good thing, but we do have one from Chuffing already. He has cracked the code already, so now it's just up to us if we can help our companion basically. So let's see. Well, that's 2. I would be more than happy to just accept 2, which is 3 in total. I don't see myself rolling any better. So I don't think you disagree. So let's go with 3. And that gives us the best one for once. You see right through the simple code they use and unlock the contents of the letter. The interesting bit is simple, an order to infiltrate Wild Arms camp and to await further instructions. The rest is just additional information to help with the mission like code words. Well done, Geru says. Come, let's find our infiltrator. He raises up and heads outside. If he is the least bit concerned with the news, he hides it well. As you step outside, however, a mercenary runs to you, shouting that there's been a fight at the guard post. Geru curses and motions you to follow while he rushes towards the post where you just were. There you see a wounded guard lying on the ground and Nara is nowhere to be seen. Boss, he shouts, she was with the vultures. I tried to stop her, but she captured Nara. Geru turns to you with a grim look on his face. They have crossed us once more. Also, and we'll make them pay. Or we're going to return Nara 281 to the library. Well, she would have left our side by the end of the day anyway, but now she was captured, which is even less less fun. And we do not have a mercenary tag, so I'm going to click no here. Take one of ours and meet me in Hesenby. They have a base there, and I suspect that that's where they're taking Nara. We'll crush them together. Alright, we got 2 prestige. We're up to 5. We're going to return a friend in need 220. So the quest that we just took, and returning that to the library over there, and we get a random 149. So there's a few options of those different packs because some of them are less prototyped than others, so I'll just shuffle them without looking and take the top one. And we also get 224 from the library over there. And now we should look what we got. So 149 is Bluey, Blue Tongue, Skink, Scent, and Mercenary. Each mercenary has their own strong suit. Bluey's sense of smell is his, alongside his somewhat unstable spirit. And in all thievery skill checks, we get a single success. And if we fight or search, we also get a single success and can reroll up to 1 die. After 3 days, we have to either discard Bluey or spend 4 gold and delay the ability effect by 2. So we can keep Bluey by our side as long as we pay him well. So we have tokens from Nara, so that's 3 and 3 over here. And then we have a new quest, but let's see the other effects. So we have taken 149, we have taken 224, and now we are asked to delay our new companion by 2. And delaying simply means moving their timer token farther to the future. So 2 spots, put it over here, which actually means that because the game will end here, if we don't lose him for some other reason, like flying for example, we would be able to put Bluey into our save slot, so we would start the next game with him, even without us needing to pay him extra right now. And then if there were a partner, they would get 2 prestige, and that's something I can explain a little bit quickly. If there's 2 or more players, and the scene has this handshake icon down here, the scene can be done with 2 players, and the other one acting as your partner. They can assist you by lending their possessions like items, companions, statuses, and even skill marks and gold. And they can help you in the skill checks, and they also get rewarded usually with prestige. And that can be done even in competitive games, so it's more likely to do it in cooperative games, but you can do it with competitive as well if you want to catch up someone or maybe even get a little bit ahead. Mr. Squanchon is asking, do you lose companions at the start of the day? So we resolve the tokens, the timed effects, whenever the day tokens moves on top of them. So that's like between at the end of round, so during calendar phase. So kind of the morning, what you want to call it. So right now after this turn, before our next turn, we will lose our newspapers. So this is the new quest we got. Friend in Need Part 3. Your friend was captured and taken to Hesembi. Thankfully, you managed to get the Wild Arm mercenaries to help you. While they cause a distraction, you'll get inside the base and put an end to this. And these are special ones that we cannot abandon. And in Hesembi, we can enter the base and take the scene 94, and Hesembi is down here. So that's the end of Monday, moving to Tuesday, and now our newspapers are so old, they are useless. So I'm going to return this to the library, and we're left with no items at all. But we do have 2 companions. This is the last day Safim will be with us, and our quests, actually 2 of them can be resolved here in Hesembi, and one is here 1 space west of Jabar. And we can even pick this new quest here if we want to see what it is. And we do have to abandon one at that point, but we can even abandon the exit one that we just picked up. So this one here, let's see what you asked. Brian asking, return to Rienstum for a Lemur quest. I assume you mean Chafim's. Following his advice, he's actually an an animal, and unfortunately we can't make it quite there, because if we fly, he will leave our side, and if we walk, he will leave our side up here afterwards. So this is the new quest from Merato. A criminal has avoided the law for too long. Contact us if you think you can finish the job. Signed by Forest Rangers. I correct myself, this is actually from Merato. From there, I'm not going to pick that one. We can pick this one. This is from Teshun, if I can read. Evil farmers are treating child workers badly. This must stop. Somebody help. Signed by Guldia the Long-tailed Duck. And that's Growing Pains Part 1. I escaped from wicked maize farm owners. The food was bad and they beat us, and we were held in chains. I was lucky to get away. They'll take me back to the farm if I speak to city guards. You must help me. Free my friends and punish the evil farmers. Signed by Guldia the Long-tailed Duck Orphan. And we can visit the farm 1 space south of Merato, so it would be here if we were to help this orphan. And now we have 4 quests, but even before abandoning one, we first have to fill up the notice board. So I'll pick the first one here. It's in Jabbar, because of course it is. And now we have to abandon one of these. And 2 of them are here. And one of them we can't abandon because it's our starting quest. One is over here, and the final one is up there. And we have 3 turns left before end of game. So if we move, like for example here and then here, we have one turn after that. We could actually then abandon our mercenary to fly here if we wanted to, or visit some of the places on the location. But in any case, we are not going to be able to go here unless we right now fly there and ignore Hesembi altogether. So we're probably going to just abandon that one. So it's this one, the loose threads. And this actually says place to the vault. So this is not going to the notice board. This is the one that the fisher gave us. So it's not like a public quest, so it doesn't go to the notice board. But we are going to put it to the vault, which is this separate divider that some cards just sometimes go, and they are out of the game until some effect takes them back. But now we're up back to 3 quests. So if you were to play more, like continue playing later, this is a demo and I'm going to reset quite a lot of stuff afterwards. You might actually want to keep that card that we just abandoned and abandon something that would go to the notice board if you don't want to miss out some content. Of course, it will come back at some point, but that might take a while. All right, let's move. This we picked up, and we probably start moving to Hesembi. We could fly there to get there faster, but we would lose both our companions, and we would be quite maybe in a bad shape. We would like to probably get some items to help us. There's a market in all the named locations outside of Teshun and Meratu. This is a ruined town, this is a forest, but all the cities do have a market, which might be a good place to find some items. But also we just have 8 gold because we went to the hot springs, so might not be able to purchase too much with that. We'll now go there for the time being and draw an event card. And it's Tuesday, so it's not Sunday. So we are in a hill region, so 255. Let's see if that's created. It is. Hearing a call for help ahead, you rush down the road and that winds between the hills. You come across a Wild Arm mercenary hunts or flamingo. Well, we are close to Wild Arm mercenary camp because that's in Teshun. We thought we left them, but well, maybe they are like walking alongside us to Hesembi to attack the base. The bird is hissing and gasping as if in pain. The mercenary turns to you saying they found this bird on the road who needs help. It will be you who needs the help, the flamingo chuckles, sitting up and drawing a pistol on the mercenary. Now, no sudden movements or heroics from anyone. From around the side of another hill, a panda steps out and drops to his knee, aiming his musket at you. Her, you drop your valuables on the ground. The mercenary looks at you, telling you with their eyes that they are ready to put up a fight. We don't have medical tag. We can either fight the robbers, which is an easy might skill check. We can steal the flamingo's weapon, which is an easy thievery, or we can surrender And while chopping doesn't help us, we do have our own mercenary as well with us. So if we in Thiever skill checks, we get a success. So that's the steal the flamingo's weapon. And with fight, we actually get the success and we can reroll up to 1, and that's the top one. So which one we ever pick, our blue is ready to pick up the fight as well. As for dice, we have better dice for stealing. Blue has a little bit better effect for fighting, but not much. And Scrunchuan is saying, steal. Let's steal the flamingo's weapon. So that away, one of those away, and using these. And actually that's one too many. So that's 5. And the blue is giving us 1 success, so we're already not failing. And not up to our dice, how much more we can get. That's 3. So that's in total it's 4. 4 should be quite nice for an easy skill check. It can use be nice, like even a medium or hard one, but definitely with easy. So I wouldn't push our luck with my my rolls. So let's keep it at 4 and reveal the outcomes. And that's exactly the number we needed. You first, drop your weapon and empty your pockets, the flamingo commands to the mercenary, keeping them at gunpoint. You plucked the firearm from the bird and took it on her, making her mouth droop open and her eyes widen. Herc, I'll get them, the panda promises, but his shot goes too high to hit anything. The mercenary takes the opening and rushes to the panda. In a few blows, the ursine gives up. With the flamingo at your mercy, the mercenary pulls out some rope and ties the 2 crooks together. The mercenary praises you, explaining that it has been a long while since they have seen anyone move quick enough to snatch a weapon from an enemy's grasp. Do we have a mercenary tag? Well, we do. Bluey has a mercenary tag. With calm return to the world, your mercenary embraces the one you have met today, and the 2 spend some time to converse and cavil about their recent jobs. Once done, your mercenary tells you that working for you is interesting and decides to stick around a bit longer without extra pay. Well, he was already going to stick with us without extra pay, but we do get 1 prestige. And we are going to delay our mercenary companion by 2. Doesn't really do much. Goes here, barely. It's visible. And returning the drawn event, the bottom of the event deck. Wednesday, Chafim will leave our side. 294. And we have 2 days left, so we actually we can do both quests if we want to. The first one is the pineapple quest, and the other one is our friend in need. Do you have preferences of which one we should do first, or if we want to visit the market to better equip us beforehand? We do have 8 gold in if we were more lucky, we would have more gold to be able to visit the market, but we're not too rich at the moment. Scrunchuan is saying try market first on the way to pineapple. Let's do that. So I can also show Hesembi just to give you an idea. Here it has visitable locations include docks, mines, market, and theater. So we are going to visit the floating market on the top right, which is the scene number 15. Hesempi's commercial center is called the Floating Town, named after the many pontoons that keep its stalls afloat. The market has everything an adventurers could need. What it is that you are looking for? Well, what is it? We can look for weapons and camping equipment, books and apparel, or miscellaneous gadgets. We are going to enter a base, or actually we are not going to enter the base. We are going to go and rent a pineapple, so not sure what could help us in renting a pineapple. Books close to book weaknesses, Brian says. Let's go with books and apparel. You walk around the market, sometimes hopping from one jetty to the next. You look for something that could provide information or something nice to wear and are able to find several interesting items. So it's asking us to take 151. Where do I put it? For there, and 3 random 150s from the library and place them face up. And as for this, you might think why some of the rules are in those turquoise boxes and some are not, like this first part is. These parts, usually if you play with 2 or more players, another player is recommended to be the so-called story master who reads the stories from the book, and these turquoise texts do not have to be read aloud, so they can be just resolved. So the story master just puts this in front of you, takes 3 150s, put them in front of you, and then they continue reading. You may purchase any number of these items by paying its value. You may also sell your items for half of their value rounded up. And then after you have done your purchasing, the story master knows what to do next. They will return the cards sold, and those the adventurer did not purchase back to the library, and those do not have to be read aloud. They just have to be resolved. Brian saying, did the newspaper have value? So if we had gone to the market, we could sold them before they expired. That is correct. So all items do have some value, and you can sell them. Old newspapers to someone. Maybe they're a collector or something, but now they're too old to sell to anyone. So we were first forced to discard them earlier. So let's see what are our options. The 151 is assorted gear. When purchased, discard to swap one of your skill marks for either a knowledge or a communication skill mark. So if we purchase this with 3 gold, we can move one of our skill marks to either of these. We do not get an additional one, we can simply move. And what else did we get? Here we can purchase a black hat. It would help us in intimidation and exploring. The next one is a hand mirror. The black hat was 5 gold, this is also 5. We have unfortunately only 8. In all communication skill checks, we can reroll up to 2, and in sneaking we can reroll 1 die. So not that powerful effect, but we can use it in many different situations. So all the items are balanced, somewhat at least. Of course, you can have better synergies with your dice and with your items, but all of them are more or less good. It's just what you want to specialize in and what kind of synergies you want to have. And finally we have perfume, which would cost 6, and it would help us in convincing and in sneaking. in sneaking we can riddle up to 2 dice, and we may discard to get 2 successes as well, so we can use a little bit or go all the way. So basically we have money to purchase gold to purchase one of these, and if we purchase either of the 2 on the left, we can also move one of our skill marks if we want to. So we're going to go purchase or actually rent a pineapple. So what might help us doing that? Should we get a black hat, hand mirror, or perfume? Mr. Squanchan is saying that perfume is quite good. So we're probably going with that and not... We came here to buff our weaknesses. So we're not probably going to move a skill mark, we're just going to use items to cover our weaknesses. Yeah, Mr. Squanchan saying convince could help. Or we steal it. Yeah, it might help us in the attack later too. So, the expensive perfume, we are going to down to 2 gold. And then I'm going to return the rest back to the library. And that's the end of scene. Moving Thursday. And that's the last day, and now we're going, based on our plan, we're going to try to rent a pineapple, and that's this one here, Fertile for Fame, meet Yari, scene 102. Brian said no using thieving skills at market. Huh. Well, at least not today. Yes, so scene number 102. Uncle Jari's Juice is in a cozy corner store in the market district. Yari is an old but active fruit bat, climbing around the rafters while balancing a tray in his wing to serve juice to his many customers before coming out to talk to you. A lot of rich folks have started asking me for exotic fruit recently. Yari strokes his note as he ponders your request for a pineapple. Uncle Jari is happy to provide, but they don't even eat them. They just display them and then give them back. I've turned into a fruit rental company. Unfortunately, his waiting list is many weeks long. We do not have a tourism tag. We can either convince Yari to rent us a pineapple, medium communication, which our perfume would help us by giving us a single success, or we can please Yari with a donation, and here we don't even have a choice because we can't give a donation of 5 gold, we have only 2 gold left. So going to convince him, or at least try. Remove that, replace with the base skill die. So we would like to get at least 1, and that should be okay with this. Bluey doesn't have any convince abilities. He's not the type of person trying to convince anyone about anything outside of fighting. That's 1. So we would be succeeding with 2 or more. And I'd say let's go with 2, not being brave enough to reroll. And if you agree, we can reveal the outcomes and see what happens. Waiting if either Brian or Mr. Squanson replies. Perfume does not give us rerolls for convincing. It gives 2 rerolls for sneaking, and we may discard it for 2 additional successes for sneaking, but for convincing it's just simple one success. So probably not going to push our luck and go with 2. Scrunch1 agrees. Yeah, no way we would gotten 4. Well, really unlikely. At least we would have to get 3 with these dice. You offer Chauri a favor for a favor. Should he do you the kindness of lending you a pineapple? The old fruit bat calls for someone inside the store. A few moments later, a large tiger comes out. This is Raya, Yauri gestures in introduction. He'll bring you to my usual pineapple supplier. Pick some up for me and you can have one as a thank you. The riverside warehouse is filled with busy folks carrying fruit crates fresh from the docks and orchards of Hesembi, or loading them onto rafts bouncing on the banks of the Iroga River. Pineapples? Says a smiling weasel. Yeah, I just happen to have a new shipment, but someone offered to pay double on it. Sorry to Yauri. But if you match the new offer, they're yours. Yauri didn't give you enough to cover the difference, but there are other ways to get that crate, Raya winks as he elbows you to the ribs. Oh. Well, we can't pay the difference. we are broke. We can sneak inside later, or we can force our way through the fence. Sneaking is hard, but we get 1 success from Bluey, and we get 2 rerolls from our perfume. As for forcing, nothing helps us, so I think the choice is quite clear. Even if sneaking is harder, we are way better equipped with that. We can even discard our perfume if we want to get 2 successes, but that's kinda unlikely because, well, we don't want to lose our just new shiny item. Just paid high monies to get it. Let's swap 1 like that. And we have 2, we can reroll 2 dice, and we have 1 success from Bluey. That's already 3, so probably not going to do the full reroll here, just rerolling these 2 with our perfume to see if we can get even more. Currently we are at 4. That's not more, but I'm definitely happy with 4 and not wanting to risk it by rerolling everything at this point. It's 5 would get us best here, so close. If you're not going to do business, buzz off out of my fur, says the weasel, turning away. Look, says Raya, pointing into the warehouse yard. Pineapples just unmistakably from a crate near the corner. Sneaking past the workers is easy, but at the crate you hear footsteps behind you. Quickly, shouts Raya. You grab as many pineapples as you can and sprint until the warehouse is far behind. Love it when the blood gets pumping, Raya grins, tossing you a pineapple. We sure showed that weasel. You are filled with a sense of grit and excitement from your daring fruit heist. We get 1 prestige. We are going to return the fertile for fame to the library. And what else? We get 121 and 62. And 62 is what we have already seen once. Determined status. Lucky we got that back. The game has plenty of different statuses, but we just happened to stumble upon the same one. And 122 is fertile for fame part 2. With a hard-earned pineapple in your possession, you're ready to help Olamide impress his friends. Meet him at Raid Snout's Gentle Club in Sarevar. and now we can meet Sarevar. We can meet Olamide in Sarevar and take the car. Scene 103. Sarevar is up here. And that marks almost end of game. But here we have one final timed effect, and it's here on the harmony card. So we're going to take the scene 200 named Gathering to end our game. After all the excitement, challenges and adventure, it is time to unwind for a moment and reflect on your travels. How many adventures were in this game? Just us. We are not isolated. You head to the nearest inn, intent on treating yourself to a well-deserved evening, celebrating this leg of your journey. Already from the outside you can hear the sounds of lively patrons, suggesting that the establishment is quite full once again. Despite the noise, all heads turn as you enter, curious to see the new arrival. We have two choices. To be honest, we have one choice. we can't throw a party, we don't have enough money. We are forced to celebrate alone. How much prestige did we got? We are at 7 prestige. The other folks in the bar keep their eyes on you for a long while, watching you as you seat yourself and order a drink. The general buzz of the tavern lowers and the music is replaced with a swarm of chatter. Folks know you by name and trying to keep their voices hushed, telling each other of all the deeds, great and terrible, that you have performed in your travels. Word gets out that you are here, and more folks around the area come to ogle at you. If the crowd is any indicator, you have become a renowned adventurer. We are famous. And that marks the end of our game and demo. And the final thing that we would do in any game is to save, so we can continue from where we left off. And for that, there are simple rules here in the rule book for saving, and there's 2 different variations. We can either follow the left side here if we want to back the game into the box and continue playing later, or we can follow this right side here if we want to set up a new game and continue playing immediately. So that's basically a quick setup, so we could play another game really fast. Takes just a few moments to do. And basically what we do in the save, when saving the game, we resolve all the effects with this save icon over here, this arrow to the box. In this case, all the adventure boards ask us to take the card number 0 from the library. And that's our special ability over here. If we used it, well, we did use, but we already got it back in the hot springs. But we always get it back during saving. And one other card that always has a save effect is the month card over here. December is replaced with card number 1. And as you might have guessed, that would be January in this case. So next game would be next month. So other cards could also have some save effects, but in this demo game, in this example, there are no other save effects. And then each player would take all their cards, so I would take all of those and put them behind AwSHUX, their own divider in the to form their own save slot. And then we would take all the other cards, everything on the game board, everything on the side, including the notice board, event deck, all other miscellaneous cards that might be there. And those would be placed behind the global save slot. So the game world will always continue where it was left off, and each player would continue their adventure where it was left off. So it's really flexible. Even if you have a game group with players who can't quite all the time make it to the session. So campaign games can be really hard to play with those and take a long time to get on the table. But with Galzyr, I wanted to make it in such a way that it's really easy to get on the table. So you can play it. In each game you can choose if you want to play competitively, cooperatively, or if you want to play solo, or any number of players, and it doesn't really suffer if you can't make it to one session and then you come to the next one. Your adventure will wait for you once you get back. Maybe in the previous game some players did something that resulted into, for example, this card got swapped out for a different one. You can just tell them a short version of what happened, why it has now something new on the card, and then you are left. You can continue basically. Yeah, Scrunchan is saying that they are going to have lots of fun playing solo, and others can join from time to time. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, that people can, or you have one partner that you play usually with two players, and then someone jumps in and out, and so forth. There's also rules or like instructions on the rulebook if you want to reset a single adventure. So maybe you are playing with four players and everyone has their own adventure save slot, and one of them won't play Galzyr anymore for some reason. You can reset that adventure, and then a new player can come and play with that. There's also instructions for resetting everything, but that's mostly there if you purchase a used copy, for example. The game can be played as long as you want, and the content will slowly, after a certain number of games, it will start repeating. So you're not required to reset anything, but it's more likely that you might sometimes want to reset a single adventure for a new player to jump in. But I think that covers it, and thanks everyone for joining for this demo of Lands of Galzyr, and I'm going to have one final demo tomorrow for AwSHUX on Sunday. It will start 1 hour earlier than today, and also this stream will be left as a video on demand, so you can watch it later as well. The game is currently, you can pre-order or late pledge on GameFound. The link should be in the description. There's at least a link to the homepage where there's a link to the pre-order, and if you're watching that later, next year or something, the game might be even out, and you can just click the link in the description and order it today. So with that, thanks especially for Brian and Scrunchan for being so active on the chat. It's always fun to demo games when there's people writing and making decisions on what we should do. And hope to see you in a future demo sometime. Thank you, and have a nice one.